Welcome to NEXTGames' Geas Fete series. This video covering the Escha Ru'Aun and M's Kirin and Kouryu. Now we'll start by giving you an overview of Kirin and Kouryu's battle strategies and what I recommend you do to take them on. Then I'll show you two battle examples. One in a smaller party setup, and the second one in a large alliance style setup. Now the Escha version of Kirin has two forms. In the first form, he will be the traditional Kirin that you remember from your first time taking him on in Sky. Now he's going to be in this form until 50% hit points, at what point he'll transform into Kourou. Now in this first form, you can expect the following magic and abilities to be used. First, he'll use several forms of stone magic, as well as Sleepga. Additionally, he will use the abilities of Tail Swing, which is a single target damage ability, Tail Smash, which is another single target damage ability, both can hit for upwards of 1500 damage, Deadly Hold, which can hit for several thousand, so make sure you block that with shadows. It's also a single target ability. Great Sandstorm is a single target damage and will ignore your shadows, so if you're a ninja, be sure to be ready for that. Great Whirlwind is a single target damage ability that will also ignore your shadows. And the final ability is Heat Breath, which is a conal ability, so make sure none of the party members are standing behind the tank, and it will inflict large amounts of fire damage. Now with only having to contend with these things, Kirin is actually fairly easy to take on in this first form. But the thing that makes it a challenge is at any time he can also summon one of the four other gods, Genbu, Seiryu, Suzaku, or Byaku. Choosing what to do with these popped adds is the first major decision you need to make when forming your party setup for Kirin. Some groups will choose to destroy these gods as they pop, making it easier for them to focus on the single NM of Kirin. Normally they only take two strong, powerful weapon skills to take out, so it's not too difficult to do so. However, the majority of groups are actually just going to continue to do damage to Kirin while having a secondary tank voke the adds, or even the primary tank if they have enough healing. Now my recommendation is if you're either a solo player or a group that doesn't have a lot of damage output, this is going to be a longer fight for you, and therefore you're going to want to take out those gods and adds as they pop, otherwise they're going to quickly overwhelm you. However, if you're a group that has a tremendous amount of damage and you're planning on finishing this fight in 2 to 3 minutes, it's normally best just to ignore those adds, have either your secondary tank voke them or your primary tank voke them, or just kind of let them run around randomly as you quickly finish the fight. Now let's discuss the worm Kourou that Kirin will disappear and turn into at 50% hit points. Keep in mind that any of the gods that may have been spawned by Kirin will still be present and will not despawn, so you'll need to continue to deal with them while Kourou is out. Now Kourou has several nasty abilities that can make your fight go south during that last 50%, so let's go over how to deal with each. The first is Absolute Terror. To deal with this, I recommend popping a Steadfast tonic right there at 45% hit points or so right after Kourou has spawned. Also using Indie Attunement and Geo Vex to try and make it so that you can resist or cut down the length of time that you are terrorized. Now Horrid Roar will dispel many buffs on the tank and wipe enmity, which will make it so that one of the healers can very quickly get hate during this fight. So it is extremely important that everyone is up on the front paws of Kourou or directly to Kourou's sides, because if anyone is behind Kourou, you're going to find yourself susceptible to one of the other abilities that Kourou can use, Spike Flail, which will end up doing massive damage to everyone in range. Other abilities you can see used are Orchard Blast, which is an AoE damage ability that will ignore shadows, Bywing, which is an AoE damage ability that will slow everyone. This can definitely slow down your damage dealers if you're using them. It will also wipe your shadows. Godic Breath, which is a conal damage when hate is in the front of Kourou, which is where it should be at all times. We've already discussed Spike Flail. And also, I need you to keep in mind that Dread Spikes, even though it can be rarely casted, it can be casted by Kourou. And if they go up, you definitely want all of your melees to turn and wait till it's either dispelled or wears off. Otherwise, they may end up just killing themselves. So make sure you're on the lookout for Dread Spikes at all times. Additionally, Kourou has access to 4 SP abilities. Some of them are much more challenging to deal with than others. The one you prefer Kourou uses is Chain Spell. If this is used, simply keep your magic evasion up and keep getting your damage in as quickly as possible, as this is the best time in that last 50% to get your damage in. The next 2 SP abilities are simply ones that can stall you and give Kourou more time to finish you off during that last 50%, and these are Perfect Dodge and Invincible. If these are used, you need to keep your wits about you and use your time most effectively. Go ahead and get your buffs back up if they happen to have dropped, and use this time to quickly dispatch with any gods that have been summoned during the fight so far. Now, the most challenging SP ability to deal with is Astral Flow. If this is used, Basically, all of the gods will immediately be summoned, all 4 of them, and therefore you'll have to deal with all of them at the same time. This is pretty much an insta-wipe for almost all groups, so you want to make sure that if this happens to you, just keep getting your damage in and hopefully finish off the fight before they can finish off you. Now there's really 2 strategies for taking this one on. I find that a melee strategy works best when you have fewer numbers to take on Karin with. In this type of strategy, you just want a single tank, and then usually 2 damage dealers. Everyone else should be support in some regard, so bards, corsairs, geomancers that can buff up those 2 damage dealers as much as possible so they can inflict all the damage in as quick a time as possible. If this is done correctly, you can usually finish the fight in under 2 minutes. Now the second strategy you can use is one most commonly used in Aeonic farming groups, and that is where you use a bunch of summoners. Now this is a safe technique, especially since the hit points of Karin increases exponentially as you get closer to a full alliance. So when you have a full alliance of players, you definitely want 6 to 9 summoners who can use Astral Flow and Astral Conduit. Right there at the beginning of this fight, half of them should use it, and then right after Kourou spawns, the other half should use it, burning through all the hit points in usually less than a minute. Now when it comes to solo strategies on Karin, know that you're in for quite a challenge. I have yet to actually pull off a successful solo run of Karin. The main issue ends up being that Astral Flow ability. It takes so long for me to take the last 50% away that inevitably he always ends up using it. My best attempt had him using it 5%. I was so close, but not quite there. However, that being said, there are videos online of some red mages being able to accomplish this, so know that if you get lucky enough to get in all of your damage, and for Karin not to use Astral Flow, it is technically possible to solo this. However, unless you're really just in for that crazy challenge, it really is not worth your attempt, and you'd better served just trying to find a small group of people to help you take them out. Let's go ahead and see what our battle examples look like. The first one will be in a small party, the second one in a full alliance, and I'm actually going to throw in a third battle example of me also in a party setup, and this time finally getting my Reiki belt that I've been working on for quite some time. Enjoy the runs, everyone. That's going to be it for the Kirin and Kouryu video. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks so much to Server Oz for helping me out with the Lowman setup, and to the members of Elemental Materia for helping us out with the Alliance setup. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.